Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. How's it going, everyone? Wayne the Unknown here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Con Talk, where we discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. And before we begin, we got some new faces here and some familiar ones, so we're gonna go around and introduce everyone, starting with Bug. Care to introduce yourself real quick and how long you've been cosplaying for?
Hi, I'm Bug. I've been a cosplayer for 20 years now. I'm a master's level competition competitor. Um, and I'm also an entomologist in real life.
Definitely worth following on Instagram to see about that stuff, which I have to say is honestly really cool. Yeah, boy, care to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Yaboi Chasters. I'm a local Portland artist. I attend conventions in Oregon and sometimes in Washington. I've been doing this since 2017 was my first tabling event. I'm a traditional artist and I also focus on making stickers as well.
Very nice. Again, Bug and your boy, thank you for coming on and having this be your first time on the channel. Hopefully to have you guys on more for more interviews and stuff like this. And also we have some familiar faces and voices. We once again have Consul of Consley, who's pretty much become a regular on this series.
Hello, hello, hello. I am usually also on video, but I'm doing just voice today because I'm actually moving. Not very far, so I'll still be kind of Portland metro area. But yeah, I've been cosplaying since 2009, and I regularly go to conventions in the Pacific Northwest, and I also try and travel at least once a year to kind of more of an out-of-state convention, whether that be East Coast, Midwest, or like California even. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here as always.
Thank you, Consul. And also I think this is their third time on here. You've seen him before, and also you've seen their cat Teddy. Mutt Rib, care to introduce yourself and care to introduce Teddy as well?
Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Mutt Rib or Mutt Rib Cosplay. I've been cosplaying since around 2016. And then I also am an alley artist as well for Comic Con. So I've been doing art booths, sorry, since like 2014-ish. But I've been doing art most of my life, so that was the main thing. And then yeah, this is Teddy.
Gotta
It's a
any
great
anytime we see a pet, we gotta show a pet cameo. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
the theme for this channel. If you have a pet and they somehow wander in while we're recording, they have to be shown. Again, everyone, thank you for coming on. And today's topic panel thing, we everyone is going to be given their recap experience and all that fun stuff on Sakura Con 2025. I've seen and heard stuff about it, never been myself. So, yeah, starting with Bug. Um, how many times have you gone to Sakura Con prior to this event?
So I've been going to Sakura Con since I was in high school. I believe this was my 12th Sakura Con. I've been going a very long time. And I've kind of watched it grow over the years. It used to be a teeny tiny, kind of like old Komori-Con level uh, convention. And now it's in two giant convention centers, which is really wild.
Yeah, I remember seeing like hearing pictures and videos of when they switched to two videos. I can't imagine walking back and forth, especially with it being in the Seattle area where it's known for raining. Um, Consul, same question. How many soccer cons have you been going to prior to this year's event?
So I don't remember the exact year. I mean, I guess I could look it up, but I'm pretty sure I my first Sakura Con was 2012. I want to say it was like 2011 or 2012, something around that time. Um, yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it was it was in a convention center when I first went. I believe all of my cons just kind of blend into one big mushy pile in my brain. So I'm lucky if I remember any specific details. But yeah, it was just in the one Arc building. It wasn't in both the Arc and the Summit building when I was first initially going to SoccerCon. But yeah.
Nice. And what about you, ya boy? How many soccer cons have you gone to prior to the 2025 event?
I've only been to SoccerCon one time before I sold at this event. It was 2 years ago, and uh, that was the only time that I've been. It's kind of a drive to go to SoccerCon and like plan it all out. But when I went the one time, it was actually really fun. So it's fun to go back again and see it, keep growing, which is pretty cool.
I just can't imagine living anywhere outside of the Washington area and taking that drive or bus ride. Because I was looking into it going myself last year. Then it's like, I looked on Greyhound. It's like, how many hours? 12? 11? No, I'm good. I don't think my ass can stand that long of sitting. Um, Mutt, how many soccer cons have you gone to prior to this event?
Um, Me and the gang went up there 2023 and 2024. I think is our first ones, and we were just attending. And then this year I had a booth. So, but yeah, it's only been, really recent, kind of out of COVID, starting to go to this event, which I really wish I would have been able to have gone, before COVID or just even, a few years ago, because it's huge. It's a big event. I think they said it's like 80,000 people is what it's around right now between the two buildings. So,
That's a
but
lot of
yeah, I'm
people.
just someone who likes the smaller cons more. So it's a big one.
Completely fair. As I categorize it, small cons are like Disneyland, big cons are like Disney World. Back to you, Bug. What was it like for you going this year, and what made you want to decide to go back to SoccerCon this year?
SoccerCon is always one of my favorite conventions, mostly because I have a large amount of friends in Seattle. So it's nice to be able to go up there and kind of meet with them. Uh, an easy con for them to get to. And SoccerCon typically has some really incredible guests. Sometimes guests that you're not really going to meet anywhere else. I remember last year there was a Pokemon card artist. It was very cool. They had a booth in Artist Alley, and that was one of the only times they had been outside of Japan. Um, this year, I primarily went to support my friends in the cosplay contest. Most of my friends are also master's level competitors, or they are hoping to become master level competitors. And we'll kind of rotate. We'll have one person who isn't competing, so you can be in that green room, you can get everybody water, snacks, food, help them with prejudging.
Nice. Well, it sounds like I'm sure your friends appreciated you being there helping them out, especially since it sounds like this was their first time competing in Masters for SoccerCon.
So, my friends who were competing in Masters this year have competed before and have been Masters level cosplayers. But my friend who is a novice is hoping to work their way up to Masters. And this was their first time competing in a very large con.
Nice, and we'll definitely be talking about that, about that was like for them too, in this. Consul, same question. What was it like going to SoccerCon this year, and what made you want to go back?
So I had a pretty unique opportunity. So me and Shujoshi Cosplay. We were the event hosts for the two lip sync competitions, both the 18 plus lip sync competition and the all ages lip sync. So we were invited to do that a couple of months before the con. So that was our main drive to go to Sakura Con this year. But I've always really enjoyed Sakura Con. Similar to what Bug was saying, it's a good place to just meet up with friends that you haven't seen for a long time. A lot of my long time friends who I've been friends for forever, a lot of them live closer to kind of the Seattle area, so they will usually go to SoccerCon, so it's a nice opportunity for me to go see them. But yeah, the biggest drive for me to go this year was because I was hosting those two events this year.
It seems like all of you guys were really, really very, very busy this year with Sakura Con.
Yeah.
Your boy, same question. What was it like going this year, and what made you want to go back?
So I went this year because I got into the Artist Alley and I wasn't expecting to get in, honestly. I applied to both Anime Expo and Sakura Con, and I got the rejection letter from Anime Expo, which is I figured as much. It's really hard to get into that event. But then once I got the acceptance for Sakura Con, I didn't believe it at first. There's no way. I was like, I got into this con. So I went for that reason, and it was like it's the largest event that I've ever sold at to date. I've never done a 3 day event before like this. Usually my most events are 1 or 2 day smaller cons. So it's kind of a little overwhelming in that sense that I had to like prepare more stuff to take with me to the event because I can't like go home and make more stuff. I'm like 4 hours away from my house. So I had to like prepare for a larger volume of people compared to smaller events. But aside from what happened that weekend, it was a really fun event, met a lot of people, and I would go back again if accepted for the Artist Alley, and if not, I would probably be an attendee again as well.
It seems like, for again, from what I've seen and what I hear about, SoccerCon attracts a whole lot of people, not just in the Pacific Northwest, but it being like a pretty decent size anime convention. I wouldn't say it's the size of like Anime Los Angeles or Anime Expo, but it seems to attract a lot. Uh, Mutt, same question. What was it like going to SoccerCon again this year, and what drew you back?
Um, well, as you know me, I'm gonna be honest.
We appreciate honesty on this channel. No
I
sugar, no sugar, no sugar coating.
I was not planning to go back to SoccerCon after going as an attendee the last 2 years. Having two buildings and the amount of walking and travel concrete like all day really like just drains me. So we weren't expecting to go, and then I also got the email and was like, "What the heck?" I was like, "How did I get into Artist Alley?" Because yeah, it's just a really big event, and I mean me, Chasters, and then another friend of ours, Tofu, all got in, and we were all just like nerding out together. Like, did you get the email? Oh my God. So, that was like the only reason I went was because I did get into Artist Alley. And it was for me at least, because of how busy and how chaotic stuff ended up, it was just a weird fever dream for me. Um, we had a good time with our group, but like I literally was just at my booth the entire time, except for, the 6 hours or something that we had to be evacuated for the fire. So, but yeah, I would probably go again if I got into Artist Alley, but as an attendee, it's a pretty expensive trip to go for the weekend. And again, with chronic pain, it's hard to want to do it. But yeah, no, we had an all right weekend.
It sounds like it can be pretty draining, especially if you're having to. Someone can answer this. How far is the main building toward to the other building? Like like if anyone can answer, how far is the distance?
So it's 4 city blocks
Yeah.
away.
Holy
Seattle
shit!
city
Excuse my
blocks.
language. Excuse
Seattle
my
city
language.
blocks.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's
Hills.
nope, nope, nope,
For
nope, nope,
me,
nope.
it's not a problem, but I work in agriculture. I have a very high, you know, high walk intensity job. But I do understand how bad it can be because I think where Sakura Con fails at it and where Emerald City is better about it is Emerald City tends to group things together in each of the buildings. So, they'll have all of the buy stuff in one building and then all of the panel event stuff in the other building. So you can kind of plan your day around going to one or the other. Whereas SoccerCon just kind of it feels almost random between what's in what building, including the exhibitors are in one building and Artist Alley is in the other building. So you can't even just like do a full day of shopping. It's a little weird.
Usually usually, if correct me if I'm wrong, aren't artists and exhibitors and like vendors in like one building altogether?
They should be.
Just from my experience going to conventions, uh, depending on the convention, it's like usually artists and vendors and exhibitors are in like one room, and then like the room next to it is like the special guests and everything.
Yeah,
Or
the fact the exhibitors were in another building, even though I had someone to sit and like watch my table, the fact that the exhibitors were in another building 4 blocks away made me not want to go to the exhibitor hall for that specific reason. I was like, I don't want to have to like walk all the way down there, and then I'm in there for who knows how long because I got to look at every booth. I got to see what everyone's making. But at the same time, it's like, I got to walk down there, explore, and then walk back. And all that time is time that, I'd be at my table. And I don't want to leave my table helper there for, 2, 3 hours by themselves just because I just feel bad doing that. But the fact that it was so far away and in another building, I was like, I don't really want to have to go that far just to go see the exhibitors. If it was in the same building, just in a different area, then that would have been fine. But
no, completely, especially if you're an artist or a vendor and you want to like leave your booth and everything, like you have to make sure you're back at your booth at a specific time.
Yeah, you definitely got to plan it out, especially too because Artist Alley is obviously Artist Alley, like artists, fan artists, and all that. But you also have some artists who sell like sweatshirts, bigger items that need to be in exhibitors. So you have like a good chunk, at least for me, I had a good chunk of friends who were also just in the exhibitors hall that I didn't get to see it all that weekend. So, you know, it's a
Um,
bummer.
oh, it sounds like it. Same question for you, Consul. What was the trek for you like back and forth between both buildings?
Yeah, so I personally think that SoccerCon is still at a size where they can have majority of it in one building and maybe just having like registration in like the other building. I genuinely think I don't think it's big enough to justify both buildings. That's just my personal opinion. I think the worst part about the trek is the fact that it is on a hill for
It's on a
on
hill?
on
It's
its
Seattle,
time.
man.
Yeah,
Seattle.
so from the Arc building to the Summit building is all uphill, um, which is kind of annoying, a bit frustrating, and like Mutt was saying, like for people with chronic pain or any sort of like physical disability is probably the biggest pain in the butt ever. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's because not only is it quite a long trek, for like 4 blocks, but it's also just on a constant incline the whole time, going from one building to the other. With the two events that I was hosting, they had the two events in both buildings. So the 18 plus was in one building and the all ages was in another building.
Oh,
So it was
Jesus.
really weird because I mean, they were on different days, so it wasn't that bad. It's not like I had to run from one building to the other building in the same day. But it was a little bit weird because I didn't really know where I was going because I feel like every time SoccerCon happens, they always change the event layout like way too much. So if I were like as a longtime Sakura Con attendee, if someone says, "Oh, it's at main events," I never know where main events is because it's been different the past 3 years. So where they like host like different events and panels and things like that, it's always different. And the maps and signage for SoccerCon is basically non-existent.
It's like one of those
And
video
I
game.
am very, very, yeah, I'm very directionally challenged, like very, very directionally challenged. So it takes me forever to get anywhere or like find out where I'm going, I guess. So yeah, it was definitely annoying and frustrating. And even as someone who doesn't have chronic pain or any physical disabilities, by the end of the weekend, I was hurting. My feet were hurting, my legs were hurting, everything was hurting. And I was just imagining like it would be nearly impossible to traverse like the amount I walked for anyone who had any sort of physical disability, like anyone, because
Mm.
it hurt for me, like it's going to be a million times worse for other people.
And I want to make a quick disclaimer to anyone watching this, or even soccer cons watching this. This is in no way negative. This is also just more so like, I guess, to find ways to improve, because you got to think a good chunk of your half of your attendees may be ADA, where they're going to use walkers, wheelchairs, and I just can't imagine, having a walker or wheelchair going from one building to another, and also it feels like it just it feels like it costs a lot more money too to have two buildings. I
Oh,
mean, I
yeah.
could be wrong. I can't really say like I can't really say anything because I've never been, just from what I've seen and heard. Um, Bug, how was the event for you? Like, what did you do and everything at SoccerCon, and did you go for all 3 days?
So I went for all 3 days. And I went for day zero. So I like to arrive at an out-of-state con, especially one with badge pickup on Thursday. Now, unfortunately, that is where the con started going wrong. I arrived sort of later in the day Thursday, which is typically fine. It was 4 p.m. And when I got to the registration line, I was talking to people who were further in line over Messenger, and they said that they had been there for 3.5 hours. And I was planning on going to the rave that night, and it was already getting late. So I decided to turn around and go back to my hotel. I had already been waiting for like 50 minutes, but I knew that I couldn't be there until 8 or 9 p.m. Um, and I went to the rave, and I woke up at 6 a.m. when registration opens Friday morning, and I got there and I waited in line for an hour to get my badge. Um, this was not problematic until later. So I ran 2 panels Friday, and my first panel was a really long panel. It was an original design panel, and I had a bunch of models set up who were going to do their original designs in kind of a runway style. And unfortunately, most of them were actually still stuck in registration by the time my panel was going on. It was earlier, it was about 1 o'clock. Um, and I had to cut my panel short, which was really, really frustrating, just because people had been waiting in reg for 4 hours. Um, but my later panel was actually really good. I had a full set of attendance for a Gajinka panel. A lot of people wanted to learn how to make their favorite Pokemon into a cosplay. I
Ooh.
was dressed as Shedinja that day. We were doing a ghost Pokemon group. It was very cool. Um, and by, 5 o'clock, everybody had made it through registration. Although there was still a huge line when I peeked out, but all of my friends had made it through. Um, I didn't do anything late Friday because my con roomies were in the costume contest, and I wanted to make sure that I was there to, make sure they got sleep and everything was ready for prejudging on Saturday. I went with my friend to prejudging Saturday morning, and then I planned a big chunk of time, excuse me, to go to Artist Alley, and then the Cheesecake Factory caught on fire. Um,
Mm.
so that was pretty spectacular. All of the time that I had allotted to go to Artist Alley before call time at the costume contest, which was 3:45 for people to be backstage. Unfortunately, I don't know actually when Artist Alley reopened, but I know by the time it did that there was no way I was gonna make it. Um,
Four.
then I it opened at 4. Okay, so I was already backstage in the green room, which was a little unfortunate. I was really looking forward to meeting up with some friends in Artist Alley, but that's just how it goes. I know that the con did not force the Cheesecake Factory to be on fire. Um, and then the costume contest actually went really well. Um, it seemed like people were having a good time. Everything was happening on time, and it did get over pretty late. I know that there were, I think, 70 entrants. Um, and then Sunday, I took a chill day. I did a Sonic Made Cafe group. Um,
Nice.
and then I had to dip out of con early because everybody was just so tired. And I wanted to be back at my place in Portland by 10 p.m.
I don't blame you. I mean, from what I've heard, I guess there's like some technical issues with registration or something.
Yeah,
Like
there were.
like I mean, you guys also think about it. A lot of people are. Hell, I remember Komori-Con 2023. It was like 8 o'clock on day zero when I left, and they had to close the doors because I looked outside. There's like 30 more people out, like 20, 30, 50, 40 more people outside waiting for badge pickup. It's like I'm glad I'm doing press because like I can't imagine being in a line for that. Well, I've been in a line for that long, but that was for an autograph, and though I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, so they had just switched over like computer systems. I believe the story that was given was the day before.
Yeah.
They canceled their contract, or the person that they were with before canceled the contract, so they needed a new service.
Oh.
And so the majority of the computers were down day zero, and then they had only half of the staff that they normally would for registration. Um,
Mm.
Staff at Sakura Con, as the con has gotten bigger and serviced kind of a wider community, has gone down by quite a bit.
I've noticed that.
It can be really difficult to volunteer at a con. The hours that you are expected to work for your badge, um, oftentimes, and I don't know anything for Sakura Con as far as like the regular staff goes, but oftentimes at conventions when you volunteer, if you're coming from out of state, you're paying for your own hotel, you're paying for your own travel, you're paying for your own food, so you're paying to work at a con. And I know not everybody can afford to do that, especially now. So it can be really hard to find the volume of staff that they need from the local area to service, people are even coming from all over the world to attend this convention.
Oh no, especially and also, when you have that, you also have like, I mean, I have to commend staff for having to deal with all that craziness, from the long lines to, and sometimes staff, especially if it's like new staff or staff that's been there, you also usually like before attendees find out, they're usually like they find out last minute too. So, they're trying to scramble while also trying to deal with, it's a both sides thing. Like I get staff is frustrated, attendees, like I get the frustration from attendees, like you've waited to go to this and only to find out you're gonna be in line for who knows how long. I've seen it on both ends, and I was like, I don't think I would ever want to staff for a con because this just looks nuts. But geez, like the fact that you guys had to wait so long, I just can't imagine. Especially those who had to probably wait longer. Did everyone wait inside or was there a line outside? Because I saw pictures of like inside and outside.
So, since when I was waiting on Thursday before I gave up, I was waiting outside. I actually never made it into the building in my hour of waiting.
Oh
It
geez.
was all outside. And then when I went at 6 a.m. when registration opened on Friday, there was a very long line outside until about 6:10, and that's just because they opened registration slightly late. And then everybody managed to funnel into the building pretty quickly, and I did the rest of my 45-minute wait inside,
I don't
which
want
was pretty good.
I don't want to think how many people lined up on day zero. I really don't want to think about that now. Consul, same question. What was it like for you, and did you go all 3 days? Like, what did you do?
Um, I did go all 3 days, and like Bug, I also did come up Thursday for badge pickup on day zero. Um, I am very adamant about getting to convention as early as possible. So me and my crew, we arrived, I think around like 9 a.m. on Thursday into Seattle, or 10, it was like 9 or 10, something like that. And I believe registration opened at 11. And so we were actually able to check into our hotel early at around 10:30, 11 o'clock. We unpacked, got dressed into cosplay because we also cosplayed day zero like crazy people. Um,
I feel like this
and
is like a
headed,
golden rule to cosplay on day zero.
yeah, and then we headed to registration. We got there around noon-ish, so we actually got in line. And I think we were only in there for about an hour. So we were in there it was still obviously an hour wait compared to last year, because the year prior it was instantaneous. I got my badge right away, in and out. But yeah, this year I believe we were there for roughly about an hour waiting in line, if not an hour and a half. And we were only there at noon when registration opened up at 11. So my guess is they had issues with this system, with this new system, pretty early on for the wait to be that long, at the only within the first hour or two of the reg lines. But who knows? I didn't work registration, so I don't know. But yeah, similar to Bug, I heard the same story where they had a whole new um registration system and that most of the computers broke down. I was given like the number that there was only 8 computers running out of, I believe, like 30 computers that they had. Those were the numbers I were given. I don't know how accurate it is, but that's what I was told, is they had 30 computers, but only 8 of them were up and running um by the end of Thursday. So I cannot verify that information, but that's what I was told. As far as the rest of my weekend, um, it went by okay. Um, I was pretty busy with doing the lip sync, so a lot of my Thursday was prepping for the lip sync, practicing for the lip sync like halftime show. Um, and yeah, mostly just doing that, unpacking, making sure I have everything. Friday, I was a little sad because we were supposed to have a JoJo's Part 4 group, but two of our friends who came in from out of town, they got caught up in the big registration line on Friday, so we didn't get to see them until the very end of the day. So that was very unfortunate because it was their first Sakura Con coming in from out of
Oh,
town. Um, but other than that, that Friday went relatively smoothly. Saturday, obviously, the Cheesecake Factory fire put a wrench in everyone's plans. Um, they blocked off several blocks around the Cheesecake Factory, so it made the trek going from the Arc building to the Summit building and back even longer because you had to go like an extra block up, and like um it was annoying because my hotel was directly next to the Arc building. And I had to walk all the way around like 5 or 6 blocks just to get to my hotel, which was directly next door. So it made my walk a little bit long to get to pretty much anywhere, back and forth between buildings if I wasn't in one building or another. And that happened while I was in the Summit building in the exhibitors hall that morning. I had to go back for a meetup that I was doing, and I didn't realize that they had blocked off several blocks. So I had to go kind of around the long way to get back to get to my meetup on time, which I was rushing. Barely made it, but we made it. I made it safe, made it fine. And then yeah, that evening was the 18 plus lip sync. That went over pretty smoothly, pretty swimmingly. I enjoyed that a lot. It was really fun hosting that event. It was a really fun event, lots of great performers, and that was a lot of fun. And then the Sunday next morning also went pretty smooth. I didn't really have too many bumps in the road as far as the convention goes. I was sad I was unable to do a lot of things that I wanted to do. I didn't get to do as many panels as I usually do, um, which is fine. Just because I was so busy with doing the lip sync hosting and trying to practice for that because I wanted to get in a practice at least once a day. So, and wanting to get a lot of rest and get off my feet. So I did unfortunately miss out on a lot of panels and events that I wanted to go to try and support my friends. But I had obviously those obligations to host those events, so I didn't want to miss out on those or disregard practicing for those. I wanted to make sure that those went over smoothly before anything else. But other than that, it was a pretty smooth convention for me. Yeah, not too crazy. Other
I,
than obviously things going on fire.
I sense a theme going on for this episode. Um, Chester, same question. I imagine you were there for all 3 days, and what was it like for you, and what was it like being an artist alley?
So I too was coming from out of state, so I went up early, did that 4 hour drive up there, which actually wasn't too bad. It wasn't until I didn't hit any traffic actually until I got to Seattle. Um, but I went and the instructions they gave to the artists was kind of confusing because the road they wanted you to turn on was like they were doing construction on it.
Yep.
So I actually got lost in Seattle and didn't know where I was going. So we had to call the phone number they gave you to to figure out where to go. And I was like, I don't know where I am. I followed your instructions. I'm in a parking garage that it has privatized parking. There's a security guard running around. Like, where am I supposed to go? And they're like, oh yeah, you went the wrong way. You're supposed to go like here instead. So eventually found it, and I went into the parking garage, and they had this lift elevator, and it was for specifically for people doing hand carried freight, not trailer freight. If you had a trailer, there was another spot you went to unload your stuff. And when I got there, the elevator for it was they closed it at 5 o'clock p.m., even though they had the artists were able to load in until 8 p.m. So I don't know why that elevator was like closed off. So I had to hand carry all of my stuff through the parking garage up to like the third floor where the artist alley was, and then like carry it to the artist alley area. Which it wasn't too bad, but it was kind of annoying because there were some people that had a bunch of stuff that they obviously needed the elevator for, and they had to like hand carry it. Um, but Friday, it was pretty good. I noticed that there wasn't as many people as there probably would be in the artist alley for everyone being stuck in the lines for registration. I heard how long it was, and that probably explained a lot of why there wasn't very many people running around. Um, so Friday was kind of like all right. And there wasn't really much happened, nothing like bad. But it wasn't until Saturday, which was annoying because I was actually running late to the artist alley when I heard the fire trucks at first, and I was like, okay, I wonder who that's for. And then when I get to the artist alley, I'm like, oh, that's for me, cool. Um, So when I walked upstairs, there was like people kind of scattered about, and I asked staff what was going on, and they were like, "Oh, well, we kind of like they're like I'm guessing you saw outside. They're like, but the artist alley's closed. They have to like air it out or whatever and get information from the fire marshal before they can open. But they sent us an email at 10 saying they don't know when artist alley is going to open up again. They're like, just be patient. They're like, we're expecting minimum 1 hour. You guys have to wait to get into artist alley. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, 1 hour, that's fine. And then they sent us another email at noon saying we still don't know when we're going to open up. So just like, please wait. So I sat there from 10 a.m. till 3 o'clock when they reopened Artist Alley. Uh, and when they reopened it, they gave us 30 minutes to set up all of our stuff. And then that's when the floodgates opened. And there was so many people, I actually lost cell service in the Artist Alley, and I wasn't able to like use my Square reader to take payments. I had to use tap to pay on my phone just to get payments. And I would even have to like run from my booth out to where the Sky Bridge is to get a clearer connection just to like have the payment go through. Um, but with like how crazy it was, I'm glad that they extended the artist alley to run until I think it was 9 is how they let it open. Which for people that do this full time, they were a lot of people were saying that it still would have been better in sales had the fire not happened and it was during the day because people like most people won't stay super late to events if they like don't want to, or if all of the panels happen at a specific time, like late night panels. Um, I know some people went to the exhibitor hall to wait out the storm for Artist Alley, and they actually reached capacity for the Summit Hall building, and they weren't letting more people in, which I think is 20,000 people is max capacity for that building.
Oh, Jesus.
So they had to stop people from going into the building because there was just so many people waiting to get into Artist Alley. Um, yeah, it was crazy for that. But a lot of artists that do it full time said that they still would have had made more money had they gotten all the sales during the day versus had they extended it at night. Sales were still pretty good, but they said that during the day, everyone wants to get all their shopping out of the way on Saturday so they can go do panels or go do other stuff, go back to their hotel and take a nap before like a nighttime event. So, but the fact that it ran in so late, most people probably didn't do that. But Sunday was fine. Same thing there. Like it wasn't like anything bad, but I went and checked on other artists that were around asking like, are you okay? Like, did your stuff survive? Luckily, everyone I talked to that had like apparel or like they do like crochet or like stuff plush items. Luckily none of them said that there was any smoke smell or anything on it, but they were gonna go home and wash that apparel anyway just to be safe. I'm gonna do that with my tablecloth that goes over my booth just in case because I don't know. But
Oh.
yeah, pretty wild for Artist Alley on Saturday.
I feel like this is a sign for Sakura Con just have it in one building. It seems like ever since, from what I've seen and heard, I can be corrected if I'm wrong. It seems like ever since they split into two buildings, just so much chaos has happened. Same question for you, Mutt. I know you were there for all 3 days. What was your experience like for the 3 days of Sakura Con working at a booth?
Um, we made it work. It's for Thursday or day zero, um, I had to adjust the night before when we were gonna head out just because a person in our group was trying to do a surprise cosplay for one of our other friends. And so like basically everything that could go wrong did with that cosplay. And so I was just like, we're not going to stress about this. So you're going to get basically a whole extra day to work on it or whatever. So I just changed our plan so that we ended up getting into Seattle around 7 p.m. or so. And then I knew my booth wasn't going to take too long to set up. So I set up on Friday morning. And that wasn't too bad. It was a little weird though, because we did have like these announcements that I didn't know were gonna happen. I don't know if you remember Chasters, but it was like, you have 15 minutes before we like come around and police how your display looks. I don't know if you knew that was gonna happen or not?
That didn't happen to me. I got there around like 6 o'clock.
Okay.
But my booth wasn't, I didn't have anything super tall.
Yeah.
But I know there was one artist there who had like part of his booth was like a roof for his booth, and
Oh,
they told him to take it down because it was too tall.
geez. Yeah. No, it was just weird because I've never experienced a con where it would do that to like the artist alley. Like I definitely there's like a height limit for certain stuff, but they're like you have 15 minutes to have all your stuff like set up so we can see what your display looks like. And I was like, y'all, like we still have an hour before it opens. Like, what are you doing? So that was a little like weird, but setup was fine. Since I was in artist alley, our registration took like 5 minutes because that's separate from um, everyone else's registration. Um, didn't really have any issues. I think the I think the worst part of it was cosplaying and doing a booth all 3 days. So that was a little rough, especially because when you're trying to be there on time and then Saturday hit where there was a fire, you're like hiking down the hill to get to Artist Alley and you're like, oh, goody, fire trucks, and then I want to say within getting there, probably within 10 minutes of when we got there on Saturday, I had like 20, I think it was like 22 friends of mine got a hold of me on Instagram. We're like, do you know about the fires? Do you know what's going on? And da, da, da. I was like, what is going on? I have no idea what's happening. And then, yeah, I mean, it took a huge chunk of time out of Artist Alley that I know for sure would have been more sales. And there's also the fact that because Artist Alley was closed for like, an extra 6 hours, that's 6 hours of no sales, but it's also 6 hours of sales that went directly to exhibitors and where people probably spent most of their money at first versus if they were gonna like go to Artist Alley first or vice versa. And so you end up getting a lot of people who just are already out of their money to want to buy anything else, which, isn't like obviously it's not Sakura Con's responsibility. I actually am really proud of how they handled that situation because I unfortunately was hearing a lot of complaining in the Arch building when that was going down. And I'm just like, do you guys know that Sakura Con didn't hold the match, like this wasn't their fault. They're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. The only thing that I thought was a little too not immature, what do you call it? Too quick to do was to be like, oh, it's going to be about an hour. And I'm like, this is not going to take an hour. Like, this is going to take a few hours because I used to work for really big events and anything that's like that, you have to go through. First of all, the fire department has to do their check. Then they have to talk to the convention center's staff. And then the convention center staff has to talk to Sakura Con. And that whole process is basically the same process being done like 3 or 4 times over. So like the fact that it took like 5 or 6 hours was like, that's how it was just gonna have to be. So, whatever on Saturday. It was nice of them to extend the hours on Saturday.
I'm sorry, everyone. Technical difficulties. I'm running off of AT&T internet, which I'm gonna say this because I do allow one F word is really fucking shitty. I'm switching to a better internet tomorrow. Thank God, because but you were saying Mutt, while I was prematurely ejected from this meeting about the fires in your booths and everything, and how pretty much Exhibitors Hall was making more money because you guys 6 hours. That's a long time to like wait, and by the time it
Yeah.
opens, you got like what? Maybe
I think
for
each day it was supposed to be from 10 to like 6, except for on Sunday. I know that it's a bit shorter.
Yeah,
I think
Sunday was supposed to be was 10 to 6 every day, except Sunday was 10 to 4.
yeah.
But when they extended the artist alley hours on Saturday, they also made Sunday be 9 to 4 instead of 10
Yeah.
to
They
4.
gave us a couple hours, which again, I'm gonna be honest, was really cute. But when it comes down to again, like Chasters was saying, people who do this full time, this is an ordeal of dealing with people's income. Um, they extended hours to minimize the damages as far as time and sales, which was really nice of them. And then it wasn't until I feel like too little too late that they gave us access to internet for free, which if you didn't check Evently or Eventany, whatever the app was that they were talking to us through, you might not have even known that that was an option, which I didn't. So,
Damn.
They didn't give internet. They gave internet out to free for artists. What?
see?
Oh
Because
no.
because they told us that we had to pay for it $80 a day for the Wi-Fi.
Yep,
$80
that is-
sounds like
yeah.
robbery.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and even like the staff were like the staff had Wi-Fi, but even the staff Wi-Fi was like abysmal. Like it was terrible. So I actually, while I was there, the internet was so bad, I ran out of data on my phone, so I couldn't like access Square payments. I went and changed my data plan from Verizon to get unlimited data just so I could take purchases from people.
yeah,
That's how bad it was.
it's really rough.
For the little bit amount of time that I was in the artist alley on Saturday, before I had to
Like the
leave
first seconds we saw you.
yeah, for the 4 seconds in artist alley that I was on Saturday before I had to leave, because like I said, I had some obligations. I was, I was actually using my mobile hotspot so that people could like sign into my hotspot to make like purchases when I was, going around to other artists. But it was so packed. I was like, you know what? It's not even worth being here right now. Like it's just so like near claustrophobic at in the artist alley on Saturday, which again, like it's understandable why, but it was so crazy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it was handled in the sense of what staff and the fire department had to do to clear the building so that people could come back. But after that, it was just all hell broke loose. Like, again, they gave us like 30 minutes to get our stuff together to get ready or assess any damage or not. And then it was like, it wasn't until literally like Sunday, the next day, that I even realized that they gave us free Wi-Fi because no announcement was made over the announcement speaker to be like, hey, artists, like check your app or whatever to see how to get, in like Wi-Fi, because obviously none of it was working. Because you just have such a high influx of people trying to do the same thing. Like the same thing happens at like New Year's parties or 4th of July, as everyone will send a text to whoever, they're texting to be like, Happy New Year's or whatever. You can see where the spikes are. And so when Artist Alley closed, I'm sure like the exhibitors like space was just the same thing, which a couple of friends said it was. And then when they all came to us, it was like the same thing happened again. And so I'm trying to like post about like, hey, our internet's not working. Like bring cash if you can. Here's where ATMs are. Like just anything to kind of make it so we can make sales, because it was kind of rough. Like, and then yeah, just to kind of the communication was not there. I'm just
Usually,
gonna put it plainly.
usually how it goes with big events.
Yeah, it wasn't like I'm fine with, them being like, we're using this app to talk to artists about whatever. But when that isn't being utilized in a way where people are like kind of knowing that's what's happening, like nobody knew to check Evently, or I'm sorry, Eventany or something. Anyway,
Like I think Eventify or something like that.
Eventify,
Yeah.
events are
I think
us.
it's called Eventi, I think is what it's called.
Yeah. So it didn't work out. And then we did have the only time I had not at the booth, besides maybe 45 minutes on Sunday, was again those 5 or 6 hours where we were just whatever. And then I think me and Consul and another friend had a cosplay meetup that we got to go to and for a bit. And other than that, like I was just literally at the booth just trying to make sales to catch up after Saturday's shenanigans too. So it was a wild weekend. Again, like to me, a fever dream. Like you have registration going wrong on Thursday and Friday. You have the fire on Saturday, and then a gas leak on Sunday morning. I'm just like, what is going on?
Well,
So
everything that could go, as I always like say on the channel, everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
mhm.
Um, it just seems like, and Saturdays, for those who know, for those who aren't familiar with 3-day cons, Saturdays are always the busiest days for artists and exhibitors because everyone actually wants to spend their money. Because Fridays, I feel like they wait to spend their money. They want to see. Saturdays is like everyone's going to Artist Alley and Exhibitors Hall. Um, Now on to the next one. We're gonna talk about who here, raise of hand or sound of voice, who here cosplayed for Sakura Con?
Me,
Me.
I did.
The group of
Did you cosplay Chasters?
No, I'll sit this one out. Maybe next time. I am planning for Komori Con, so we'll see.
join us.
Yeah,
Oh, definitely
I
be so.
gotta. Me and my partner have a couple cosplay we're probably gonna do for Kumo, so
Oh,
we'll
can't
wait
wait
and
to
see.
see. Can't wait to see you both at Kumo this year.
Oh yeah.
Bug, what cosplays did you do this year for SakuraCon?
Okay, this year, I have a really good friend that visits from the other side of the country. And this year I was doing all cosplays with him. So Friday I was Shedinja, in an original design Pokemon cosplay. Saturday I was Trapinch as an original design Pokemon cosplay. And then Sunday I was Maid Cafe Shadow the Hedgehog.
Nice. I think I saw that one on your Instagram.
Yep.
Come on. I don't know how to spell their names, so because I'm making a list of the characters cosplay. That's just put original Pokemon outfits and Mage Shadow. So when I send you the names, you'll know what I mean.
Yep.
What was your favorite out of the three that you did?
Trapinch was my favorite. It was kind of like a modified Kigu. It was short sleeves and shorts with a hood that was like the head that had teeth cut into the hood. It was very cute, very comfortable. And I was helping. So my friend has cosplayed a Pokemon of every type, and the last Pokemon on their list was to do a ground type, so they did Flygon. So that being the final evolution of the Trapinch line, I was Trapinch. We got to do a really cute duo shoot together. And it was so comfortable. I'm so used to being really uncomfortable in like a giant build, especially for competitions. So running around in like a little comfortable bodysuit was very freeing, especially on a Saturday.
I feel like everyone likes to go all out on a Saturday when it comes to cons. From what I've seen in the past 8 years, I had to think about that for a minute.
Yeah, it was so nice.
Nice. Consul, who did you cosplay on the 3 days?
I had quite a few cosplays. So Friday was our JoJo's Bizarre Adventure group. That kind of fell through because, like I said, at the registration lines. But I was Josuke from JoJo's Part 4. Um, Saturday was my busiest day. I started off the day with my alien stage group where I was Ivan. Then we moved into the Love and Deep Space group where I was one of the twins, Luke and Kieran, with my friend. And Mutt was also cosplaying with us as our Silas. Um, then from there, I changed into the JoJo's Part 7. I was Gyro Zappelli for the 18 plus lip sync on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I was Tsubaki from Soul Eater, and I did the all ages lip sync on Sunday.
Nice. Can't beat the classics with Black Stars. Uh, yeah. Black Stars, what was it? Death Sight? No. Death Weapon, I think
Yeah,
is.
Tsubaki. Yeah,
It's been a long time since I see that anime.
for real.
So it was Josuke, Ivan, Luke and Kieran, Gyro, and Tsubaki.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Mutt, since Consul already said Silas, who else did you go as for the days?
Silas and Silas and Silas. I was I wasn't really I didn't really have any cosplay plans for Sakura Con, even after I got accepted or anything for Artist Alley. But I am a fake fan, fantastic friend. I did it for you, Pluvio Capricorn. I did it for you. Because I don't play the game at all. But was it Consul and Pluvial wanted to be the twins, and then it became a little inside joke that I would be their tiny boss because I'm a little shorter than both of them. And and then it became a thing of like, oh, we're all about the same height. So that was the dumbest thing ever. But anyway, I was birthday Silas on Friday because that was his birthday. And then forgot my birthday hat, which made me sad. But anyway, and then on Saturday we had the Love and Deep Space meetup, which was an experience. I'll put it that way. And then on Sunday, I commissioned a friend of mine, Sweet Maple Panda, to make bunny ears and a tail for him. And so on Sunday, I was just Bunny Silas, which was my favorite one of the bunch because it was just doofy to have this dude wear
You
bunny
can
ears.
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, nope, that's the guy.
That's him.
He looks
That's
like
the boss.
he looks like a character from Final Fantasy VII. That's
That
all.
is, yeah, I
That,
feel like him and Sephiroth would have a lot to talk about.
I
That is
feel
for
like
sure.
I feel like they'd be brothers and ask each other where they get their hair care products from.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was
Oh,
pretty comfortable the whole weekend. The only thing that was maybe uncomfortable was the bunny tail was huge. And so when I would sit down at my booth, I would forget and like just get pushed back off the chair. So I had to sit on the chair sideways, which not a big deal, but yeah, that was pretty very relaxed. And it's just like, a shirt and pants. So I didn't have to wear any like, you know, anything weird or restrictive or anything like that. So pretty chill weekend for cosplay for me.
Also, real quick, I do want to give a shout out to those who weren't able to make it due to scheduling conflicts. I'm always understanding that. I want to give a shout out to Kaz, Heya Kaz, and Flightless Kale, who were not able to make it due to scheduling
Hale was
conflicts.
supposed to be here.
I asked him or I asked him earlier. I asked him earlier if they were able to make it, but they are busy with Chibi Chibi and everything, which I totally understand. Con Crunch is a real thing.
Oh, I totally forgot we're going to Chibi this weekend.
Oh my goodness.
Well, because this episode is being posted this Saturday, so by the
Anyway,
time this comes out, you guys will be at Chibi Chibi.
yes, we'll be there.
But yes, I wanted to give a shout out to Kaz, Hey Kaz, and Kale, which I'm on always understanding when it comes to scheduling, especially when cons are coming up, or you're an adult, so you have a you think adult things. So I'm always understanding. Um, I guess two more questions before we all end this. Back to you, Bug. What was your favorite thing about SoccerCon this year?
My favorite thing, so this kind of this will all come together. The weekend before SakuraCon, I was con crunching my Shedinja original design to go with our big ghost group. Everybody's making all these cool looking designs, and I'm just really unhappy with what I've made. So I had a little crash out, and I was like, guys, I'm not gonna make it anymore. Like, I'm canceling. I don't think it's good enough. But then the Tuesday before SoccerCon, my friend gets waitlisted for the contest, and they haven't finished their cosplay yet either. So we're both staying up until like 4 a.m. every day leading up to sock, and it's like, all right, I'm actually gonna finish my cosplay. I don't care. I don't care if it looks bad. I don't care if it's not the way I want it. So my favorite moment is the fact that I turned a crash out into a win. I finished my costume and I got to cosplay with all my friends.
Nice. I mean, I'll admit, crash outs, depending on the situation, are valid.
I love a crash out.
I feel like almost, especially with conventions, someone's gonna have a crash out and it's like, yeah, it's valid. Consul, same question. What was your favorite thing moment about Sakura Con this year?
Obviously hanging out with friends was a lot of fun. Um, Forcing Mutt Rib to be Tiny Boss was great, as always.
You never
Um,
got to lift me though.
I
Missed
know,
out.
big sad.
There's always next time.
We were truly as chaotic as could be, all in that little group there. But I would say hosting the two lip syncs, was super, super fun. Um, I really enjoyed it, especially the 18 plus lip sync. It was a wild and crazy time, that's for sure. I definitely recommend going to the lip syncs if you can. It was so much fun. Um, Oh yeah, Blackfire Ray has recorded all of it and it's on their YouTube channel. So you can go see both the 18 plus lip sync and the all ages lip sync on their channel. But it was a lot of fun and hosting it was a blast. It really was, especially the 18 plus lip sync. Yeah. Crazy, crazy times. But yeah.
I mean, it seems like despite, the chaos on day zero, the fire, it seems like at least it sounds like you had a good time though.
Oh yeah. For
I,
sure. Like I said, I love hosting events and doing MC work for events, so that was always a lot of fun. and, and always a lot of fun with the 18 plus as well because you have no stops. You can go all out, get as crazy as you can.
Nice. Chasters, what was your favorite moment about Sakura Con?
My favorite moment for Sakura Con was being able to actually like attend as an artist. It's like a pretty big deal for me as such a small artist to get into such big events. Um, Being able to sell at a 3 day con with like other huge big name artists that I follow online that to me they're just like I'll probably only ever see these people at cons as artists, but to kind of like talk with these people and see them as like they're not just, big name artists, these are also people who were just like me trying to make a living off of selling art. So being able to meet fellow artists who are also struggling in the same sort of boat as I am is like reassuring as an artist who's like somewhat like starting to get big in the con scene. But meeting all these new artists and seeing people and friends who I can't really actively go see because they either live in Seattle or they have to fly out to come to these events. It's nice to be around people and interact with people and in a setting and an environment where like we're all here for the same thing. We're all nerds, we all get to hang out and talk about what we like, and it's fun to meet people like that.
Nice. Mutt, same question. What was your favorite thing about Sakura Con this year?
Um, Besides the urban natural disasters, I had a couple of good moments. We for our little cosplay meetup for Love and Deep Space. It was again, I did it for I did it for my friends. But to watch Flavio get to run around and like they were just having such a good time like at the meetup. So that was just really like nice to be there for that. And then we had a really fun time, honestly, like just hanging out at our Airbnb, which we had a bunch of stupid little photo shoots at and just a lot of laughing. But I think the most like exciting thing for me, as far as being an artist alley was there was this kid's mom that like was really excited about my like original characters, which I'm always happy to hear that people like the original art because it's a little difficult to get into cons when majority of what you do is original character design. I do have fan art, but it is very much outweighed by the original stuff. And yeah, she just like she came to the booth twice and just was like, you know, globbing all over how much she liked the art and stuff. And then like, and this was the most embarrassing part, dressed as Silas. She wanted me to like sign it and then also take a picture with her holding it next to her, like the print she bought. And I was just like, ma'am, this is the most, like just the most right now. But it was just really heartfelt and really like just like a like I even told her, she's like, I'm so sorry, I'm like talking your ear off and like I keep bothering you at your table. I'm like, no, no, no. I'm like, honestly, like I would rather make like no sales, but then have these interactions at Artist Alley. Which is like hard to say in the fact of how much money it was to actually be there that weekend. Like, of course I want sales. I need to make break even at least, but to have that interaction meant more to me than like literally anything. So that was my exciting little memory from Sakura Con. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you all had fun this year, despite, the chaos from the lines to the Fire Nation attacking. Um, I'm glad you all had fun. Now, the last thing I always ask when it comes to these recaps, starting with you, Bug, what kind of advice would you want to give to someone who wants to go to Soccer Con, and is it a con you would recommend for someone's first con?
For someone's first con, if you live in Seattle, yes. I would not recommend it for somebody's first con unless you are a local. And like local could be like all the way down to Olympia. You know, like feasibly you could take a bus, you could do a day trip. Um, I would not recommend it as a first time con because it's a lot to experience. And if you've never had to build a schedule for yourself, or you've never had to pace yourself in like a foreign environment, maybe you've never stayed at a hotel before, that can be tough. Now, for people who want to go to SoccerCon, my biggest advice and the way you will be most comfortable is you need to get a hotel that has a mini fridge. And when you get that mini fridge, you're going to buy sandwich stuff and you're going to put that in your mini fridge. And your wallet is going to thank you because there's all these restaurant choices, but none of them are open as late as you want. And all of them serve vaguely the same food. And if you've never been there before, you've never eaten there, you don't know if you're going to like it. And you're going to be really sad when you spend $25 on a burger that sucks. Been there, done that. Sandwich stuff in your fridge is there all day. Free access. It's going to cost you 20 bucks. You're going to have the best meals of your life and you're actually going to feel full and comfortable at con. That is my number one advice.
Oh, as I always say, that is some really sound advice. I agree. Also, let's face it, convention food is also expensive.
Never eat at the convention center, ever. It's not worth it. It's not gonna feel good on your stomach. You're gonna wait in line a long time. Go spend that money in Artist Alley and have a delicious sandwich and a bunch of snacks.
No, that's honestly some sound advice. Same question for you, Consul. Advice for someone who want to go to Soccer Con for their first time, or they want to go to, yeah, or they want to go to Soccer Con for their first convention.
Um, Similar to what Bug said, first convention, probably not the best idea, just because SoccerCon is not the best at communicating things to the general public. So it's kind of one of those, unless you've gone to a lot of conventions before and you know kind of how conventions in the Pacific Northwest run, um, you will have no idea what you're doing. Like if you're just like kind of a casual fan going to a convention for the first time, you can't just peruse like you can with most other like slightly smaller conventions or different conventions. It is very high compact schedule type of convention. And because it spans two different buildings, if you do happen to see a panel that you like, um, you kind of need to know how to read that event map and how to read the schedule and those sorts of things. And someone who's never gone to Sakura Con or a convention, um, in this area would not know how to read like a schedule or a convention map or anything like that, or even know like where it's at if they can find the schedule online somewhere. Because, like I said, the SoccerCon's not very good at communicating, and yeah, their system UI is not super great either, in my opinion. So it's not very beginner friendly versus a lot of smaller cons will usually be in one small building where there will be an artist alley and maybe one or two panel rooms where you can just kind of wander around and waltz into a panel room and know exactly what's going on because there's like a list of times and what the panel is right in front of the room. SoccerCon doesn't do that. They don't have really any signage being like, "Hey, this panel room has these panels going on," that sort of thing. Um, so it is very, very difficult to find what you want at SoccerCon unless you are used to SoccerCon. So I would not recommend it for a first time con for someone. Um, yeah, but I mean, I personally like SoccerCon, but that's again just because I'm used to how it runs. But there are some recent changes and things that are making me second guess going to SoccerCon again, but we'll see.
No, completely fair. Again, we are not bashing the con anyway. These are, again, these are their own opinions, and this, we don't want this to deter anyone from going to soccer con. I'm always a firm believer of expressing your own opinions and also a way to better the convention too, especially with how, from what I've heard, what's been going on lately for soccer con. Chasters, same question, but also I want to extend on it. For someone who wants to apply for Artist Alley as well for SoccerCon, because I feel like we need to talk about that too for first time artists who want to have a booth at a con such as this.
So to answer the first question, if you were to attend Sakura Con as like your first time con, like Bug said, if you were like local to Seattle, I would say by all means go ahead. Um, Go to it, you'll probably run around a little bit, see what's going on. But if you are going as your first time and you're not local and you try going to Sakura Con for the first time, I feel like you're going to be robbed of a convention experience because there's so much going on, like with the two different buildings and the artist alley and the exhibitors and panels and autographs, and it's such a large building and such an area that I feel like you literally have to have like a plan, like you have to plan everything out. Like at this time, I'm going to go do this and I'm going to do this, and it's also bobbing and weaving, getting food and making sure you drink water at the same time because there is so much to see. You want to make sure you don't miss out on it, and 3 days is a lot of time, but in the convention, 3 days is not a lot of time, especially like how fast the hours fly at the event. Um, for your first time applying as an artist, I would say if you don't have like a good structure of like product made, all that be stickers or charms or original work, whatever you want to do. Um, if you don't have a lot of stuff ready to go, I wouldn't recommend applying to SakuraCon just because there is so many people that I feel like if you don't have enough to offer or if you run out of stuff to offer, then you're gonna be miss out on that experience too. Uh, but if you're like got a good rapport going, say you have a lot of good sales on Etsy or Store Envy, whatever you sell on, and you feel like this is an event I could do, I would say go for it because you will make a lot of money at this event. This is like the most profitable event I've ever had, like ever. Um, just because there's so many people and there's so many people that like are there to shop for Artist Alley. They're there to support the artist essentially. So I'd say if you're just starting out, I would recommend checking out like markets or even smaller events near you. And then once you start to become bigger and you're able to make more things and you're more confident with your work, I would say start applying to Sakura Con because it is a lottery system too. So if you apply, assuming you're not going to get in and you do get in, then the panic's kind of going to start setting in, kind of like me. Like when I got in, I was like, oh my God, I can't just bring 10 of one design of sticker with me. I have to bring at least 20 because I wasn't expecting to sell a lot. I did. I sold out of like four designs. I sold uh two pieces of traditional work, and I rarely ever sell traditional work at events. I had someone who was following me on Instagram who was been following me since WasabiCon 2021, if anyone knows WasabiCon. So that was Mutt knows about WasabiCon.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about WasabiCon. But yeah, like I would say like if you're starting out, I wouldn't recommend Sakura Con yet, but I would recommend Sakura Con later on down the road because it is such a large event too.
It's completely valid, especially with those bigger cons. Like you said, you applied for Anime Expo, and I know Anime Expo is like a lottery system when it comes to wanting, because that's one of California's, aside from Anime Los Angeles, that's California's other biggest anime convention. And I think Mutt, you've been to AX, and I think Consul, you've been to AX as well.
Correct. I have been to AX before.
I have not, but
Uh,
I've accidentally gone to San Diego Comic-Con.
okay. Like, oh, that's
I've
another.
Accidentally.
I've
That's
been to AX.
Stumbled
oh,
upon it,
and
like,
bug.
oh.
I mean, for anyone who wants to talk about a lottery system con, have a buddy of mine who I have a few buddies of mine who have admitted that San Diego Comic-Con is a lottery system con where you like have to be really lucky and hopefully the wheel lands on your name. Mutt, same question, and also, like I said, ask Chasters about going to this to your first time con and also being an artist at this con.
Yeah, I also would not recommend it being a first time con. I would say same as Bug. If you already live there and don't have to pay, a lot to be there, then yeah, go check it out. I don't agree with the booth or not booth, the badge fee with how high it is just starting off. Um, Especially because they don't offer 1 day tickets.
They don't?
No, it's you get, I think, I can't remember what it started off as earlier this year. I think it was at like $80 or $90 and then went up
Oh, I
from
heard
there.
about that back in 2023. Yeah, they don't offer separate day. That's
Yeah.
So technically, they don't have badges.
Mhm.
You're not actually buying a badge. You're buying a membership, and your sock membership lasts the whole calendar year. So it's not like a traditional con.
I feel like that
Um,
would deter some people away though. Just in my personal opinion. I'm not like no, hey, because I know other cons do that, but like okay, I'll just keep that comment to myself then.
Yeah. There's a lot with Sakura Con. I also touching a little bit more back on ADA access. Something that was happening 2 weeks prior, or sorry, before. Anyway, before the actual event this year, there was a huge momentum towards them changing and adding, actually, not even changing, but adding ADA policy to their
I
website. And
I heard about that and how there's like a whole meeting and everything.
and there's a lot they need to work on regarding that. Again, a huge chunk of their audience has some sort of disability that requires maybe yeah, like any type of aid, or it's like mine where it's invisible. Like if you were to look at me or watch me run around like a gremlin, you wouldn't probably think I have chronic pain, which is fine. That's whatever. But you can't assume that as an event runner. You cannot, like, it was to find out they didn't have that policy on their website at all until we pushed it the 2 weeks before this event was, I was dumbfounded. Like, every single venue, every single event has ADA policy. So there's that. So if you do have ADA needs, I wouldn't recommend it in that sense until they have maybe polished what needs to be fixed or not. So there's that. As an attendee, if you already live in Seattle, go check it out. If you have a spare $100 to then go check everything out. As an artist, I don't know how I got in. Like they don't give you they don't necessarily give you any feedback about like, oh, you did this and this is why you're here. Like, I apply every year because it is a bigger con, and so usually that means again like a bigger turn of sales. So yay, I would like to be I'd like to pay my rent. So there's that, but I think in general, honestly, like if you wanted to apply for a big event, actually just any event, my humble opinion is act like you want to be there, no matter the size or fanciness of an event. Make sure your portfolio is ready to go and has like a consistent, not necessarily a consistent style, because boy howdy, would that be really ironic of me to say. But like have a consistent portfolio of like, hey, I make stickers, I do prints, this is what they look like. Like having the hard copy of whatever it is really helps, I know for sure. And then yeah, just like again, act like you want to be there. So get that portfolio ready, fill out that application, know when the applications are going out, all that good stuff. But yeah, again, like what Chasters was saying, don't do it if you're not sure about where you kind of stand. If you're newer to doing artist alleys, this would probably be really overwhelming for somebody, just traffic wise, whereas smaller events, obviously it's like you might get one or two people at your booth at a time, but it's not this like really high volume of like make the sale, okay, next sale, okay, here, got to talk to this person, okay, what did they want, like all that like isn't probably as big of a deal. But yeah, honestly, like just work on your portfolio and work on, what makes your art yours, and then just go from there. But yeah, just hold your horses on Sakura Con if you're just
Oh,
starting
that's
out. Mhm.
that's some real sound advice, especially like someone like me who does media for convention, media and press coverage for conventions. Like, I think I'll hold off, or I'll just go as an attendee first, just so I can like get an idea, especially if they're holding the two buildings. Like, okay, if I do this again as a media, I have to like, okay, I have to go back and forth. I'm gonna have to have a crew. I'm gonna have to have this. I'm gonna have to have that, because there's no way in hell I can walk back and forward to both buildings, covering the entire convention. I'll need like a separate person to go capture footage of the other building while I'm over at this building, or I'm over at this part of the building conducting an interview. And also, it's
Yeah.
good, like you said, it's good to have a portfolio.
Yeah, if you plan on doing media coverage for SoccerCon, I was head of photography one year, and our photography crew had like I want to say 6 people, and that was even kind of cutting it close as far as making sure that we got all of the main events covered. Um, and there were 6 of us, and that was like 3 or 4 years ago. So, yeah, you need quite a big crew if you're
Mm.
gonna do media coverage for sure.
I'm slowly working on a crew. Like for KomoriCon this year, I'm going to need a crew because trying to do it myself last year, 2023, big this building. Oh, I got to go up this. Okay, are the doors? Will somebody be coming through the doors of the Hyatt? Okay, where's who? Why? Ha!
The other thing to note about SoccerCon is there are so many main events that you will run into a main event happening during a main event. I'm not sure about this year, but last year I do know that one of the lip syncs had to compete with the actual cosplay contest.
I heard about that.
Um, and I know that they were running into similar things this year. Just because they want to have that big of a convention, and obviously, like all of the concerts are happening in different places at the same time. So that's another thing that can be really overwhelming is you are gonna have to miss stuff.
Yeah, no. When I covered footage at Kumo 2023, I was able to get the Wrestling Federation panel, which was like 40 minutes. I caught some of like the lip sync footage for a bit, and then like capture some of the footage like during closing ceremonies. But again, when you're also having to go across the street to interview the special guests, and then be told on day three, it's like, oh yeah, we're canceling the rest of the interviews. Like, huh? What? Oh, okay. All right. Thanks for letting me know at least. Oh man, no. I feel like Sakura Con. I mean, I got a portfolio building up for convention showcases and interviews and everything from cons, which is a good thing to have, especially if I ever decide to take the plane flight there, because I'm taking a plane. Ain't no way I'm sitting on a bus for like 12 hours. Screw that. Um, Last but not least, time for everyone to drop those socials below so people can keep an update on your cosplays and conventions. Starting with you, Bug. Where can people find you on social media to stay up to date with your cosplays, your conventions, and your entomology?
So you can find me. I'm mostly on Instagram as BugChamp Siri. If you want to catch me at events. My next big event is actually going to be Portland Regional Pokemon. I'll be doing something with Pokemon TCG. And then my next large convention is Anime Expo. I will be competing in the Masters division at Anime Expo in Bug Type Miku, which you can see behind me.
Ooh, I cannot wait to see and hear about that. And Consul, where can people find you on social media if they want to stay up to date with your cosplays, conventions, and the seal poses?
Um,
Good
oh,
question.
that threw me off. I am Consul of Cosplay on all social media. That's consul.of.cosplay. I'm primarily active on Instagram, but you can find me pretty much everywhere. And as far as the seals go, that's only seals.cos on Instagram as well. Come join the seal cult. And if you find me at a convention and you seal with me, you will get a seal ribbon to officially join the cult.
I will remember that when I dress up as Geralt from Witcher this year.
Hell yeah.
And Chasters, where can people find you on social media if they want to stay up to date with your art and your next artist booth at a convention?
So I'm go by Yaboi Chasters on all social media. I mainly use Instagram. I'm on Blue Sky kind of here and there. And then also on YouTube, I upload videos talking about my life as an artist in the Artist Alley. Same name on there as well. My next event that I'm confirmed for is Beaver State Comic Con, which is the end of May, May 31st through the 1st of June. I'm on a wait list for a couple of events. I'm waiting to hear back from Komori Con, waiting to hear back from Rose City and Washington Summer Con, but I know that the runners for Summer Con can be a little slow for stuff. And then my next confirmed event will be Grit City Comic Show in Tacoma on November 15th as well. Like Bug said, I too will also be at the Portland Regional Championships for Pokemon. I'll be playing as a competitor for competitive Pokemon TCG as well.
Nice. I really, seriously, I cannot wait to hear about the Pokemon tournament one. That sounds, I haven't played Pokemon in a long time, but that honestly it sounds like it's a fun time though.
If you want to learn, I teach people how to play Pokemon, TCG, and I can teach competitive VGC,
What's VGC?
the video game.
Oh,
So
dude.
you can play video game or you can play trading card game.
Nice. And Mutt, where can people find you on social media if they will stay up to date with your art, your cosplays, and your fur baby?
It took me a second to be like, what the heck's a fur baby? Oh, you talking about Teddy.
Your son, basically.
My son. Yes. I am Mutt Rib on all social medias except for Twitter because no thank you.
Fair.
And then only account that I have, which would be like two, would be Mutt Rib for my art account on Instagram and then muttrib.cosplay for the cosplay one. And yeah, my next event will be at Chibi Chibi this Saturday. And then as far as vending, I think I'm 99% sure my next booth is going to be actually at Anime Expo. So I'm going to go bother Bug. Win. No, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the next one. But anyway, yeah, I'm at a bunch of PNW events just in general too.
Nice. You all know where you can find me. I will be at Rogue Comic Con next week, 17th to the 18th. And then after that, I will be at Metal Art Comic Con, doing media and press coverage again, at Medford in September. And then I'm waiting for them to post it on their website, but possibly press and media again for Komori Con 2025. Again, have to wait for them to post it. I downloaded their app so I can just check every day. It's like, you guys post the thing yet? You guys post the thing yet? You guys post the thing yet? Like I want to go. It's gonna be interesting going to Kumor during Halloween this year, though. So that's a
Yes, I'm
first.
excited.
But it's a
I'm
week.
also very excited.
But it's a week before my birthday, so
Oh, dude, cake. Cake's happening. Okay.
yeah. It's like I saw. It's like okay. It's like the week. It's like a few days before my birth. It's like a week or so before my birthday. It's like okay, we're going. I got the PTO. Greyhound's running again. I'll have the money. I'll have Geralt by then. I'll be bringing back Master Roshi again. So I gotta go. But yeah, again, Bug, Consul, Chasters, and Mutt, thank you all for coming on. And again, also Bug and Chasters, I hope you also enjoyed your first time being on the channel and on Cosplay Con Talk. This happens to probably be the most well-liked and watched channel on this series on the channel, which I'm not complaining. Seriously, thank you
Thank you
both for
for
coming.
having me.
Of
Yeah, thanks
course.
for having me. If you ever want to do more like one that's focused on artists too, I wouldn't mind joining again.
I do have a Geeking Out. I do have a podcast segment called Knowing That Artist. So I'll definitely be sure to have you on, and I also need to have Mutt on as well for their art as well. But with that being said, I am Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.